Otzi, The Murder Untold, narrated by Jennings. Otzi is a legend, an artifact, and a glimpse into our past. This ice mummy is one of the most preserved bodies we have to date. Unlike the Egyptians, who removed the organs of their dead and all possessions they might have held at the time of their deaths, Otzi was perfectly mummified in the ice of the Untold Alps. Otzi got his name from the place where he was discovered, on the border between Austria and Italy. He was found in September of 1991, when two hikers discovered a man trapped in the ice. At the time, there was a drastic climate change in the Untold Alps, and the ice and snow, usually encasing the mummy, had started to melt away. It was then declared that Otzi would not be cremated, but would rather stay in his frozen state to benefit the study of scientists and researchers, and now resides in the Museo Archeologico dell'Alto Adige in Bolzano, Italy. Due to carbon dating, scientists have discovered that Otzi lived around 3,300 BCE, more precisely between 3,359 and 3,105 BCE, making him Europe's oldest natural human mummy. Unlike other mummies discovered, Otzi died with all of his belongings beside him. This is unprecedented, for now scientists, anthropologists, historians, and archaeologists get the opportunity to study the Iceman's clothes, food, and hunting gear. Otzi was approximately 45 years old, a very old age to be alive at the time, and when his body was found, it weighed 30.25 pounds. Even with new scientific technologies, scientists are still conflicted on one thing. How did Otzi die? There are 7 debated theories on how Otzi died. Many theories have been put to rest with the occurrence of new evidence. The first theory is that Otzi died peacefully of hypothermia from the chill of the Untold Alps. This theory was put to rest in June of 2001, when a new group of scientists discovered that he had an arrowhead buried in his left shoulder. The second through 7th theories all account for the arrowhead in the Iceman's shoulder. The second theory is that Otzi was injured in a fight before he froze to death. This theory, although closer to the truth, suffered a setback when a team of Italian radiologists x-rayed Otzi and discovered no broken ribs, as the theory had proposed. The third theory, proposed by Dr. Anna Lucia Pedrotti, said that Otzi was shot accidentally, or in other words, a victim of an ancient day homicide. The fourth theory, similar to the third, was offered by Dr. Marcus Egg. He believed that Otzi was indeed a victim of homicide, but not at random. Egg believed that Otzi was a shepherd and was murdered by a fellow shepherd because he wanted a larger flock of animals. This theory was accepted, but considering Otzi's other injuries received some days earlier than his death, it is still unclear. Jennings suggests the fifth theory. This theory was that Otzi was a victim of an attempted robbery. The suggested robber was most likely after Otzi's copper axe, a very advanced weapon for his time. Jennings predicted that Otzi struggled with the robber, injuring his knife hand, and then retreated up the snowy mountain when the robber shot him in his left shoulder, with an arrowhead then following the Iceman to retrieve the axe. This theory was seen as a possibility, but unfortunately there is no way to prove it correct. The sixth theory, proposed by Walter Leitner, was that Otzi was a victim of a power play. Leitner believes that Otzi was a shaman, a person having access to the spirits. His evidence to back up this claim is that the objects that Otzi carried with him, especially the copper axe, which was again unusual at the time, would be given to a person of higher power in an ancient community. Because of new evidence shown that Otzi could have been attacked by multiple assailants, Leitner's theory is very possible. He hypothesized that multiple attackers snuck up on Otzi and killed him in order to gain his position and power of the shaman. The seventh theory, according to Alessandro Vanzetti and his team of researchers, said that Otzi had been killed at a lower altitude and then carried up to a burial platform. This burial platform was about 20 feet uphill from where Otzi's body was found in 1991. Vanzetti's team concluded that with the climate change in the Utsel Alps, Otzi's body was carried down to where it was found in a melting glacier. Other scientists, however, did not believe that Otzi had died in another spot, or that the stones uphill were meant to be a burial platform. Biological anthropologist Albert Zink stated that Otzi probably died in the mountains alone, and close to where he suffered a fatal injury. The Iceman's joints and spine display no dislocations that would have resulted from a downhill slide. Intact blood clots in his arrow wound would have showed damage if the body had been carted up the mountain. Although Vanzetti's team does believe that the artifacts Otzi carried were randomly distributed on the mountain, some close to the supposed burial platform and others near where Otzi was found. This still remains a theory, as there is minimal evidence and major disputation. Otzi's death is one of the most debated controversies of our time. One could never have known that such a simple man could have become such a complex mystery. One can say that Otzi is an ancient episode of CSI.